Maybe a little backdrop and a summary. But we say Mother's Day, but I think this message is for the motherly and not just the biological or physical mothers, right? Because I know maybe sometimes we can get in that rut of just thinking mothers as in somebody who had a child, and that's the only people we might vision as a mother. But the reality is that there's so many more women that function in that motherly role. I mean, I can think of my own life. My parents separated, and I moved with my dad, and so there was a lot of women that I can remember, or at least a few women that I can think that stepped into that motherly role at certain times. And so, as I say Mother's Day or Happy Mother's Day, don't feel excluded if you are that person who maybe never biologically had a child. So the thing is that maybe you're being a mother to a friend. Right? I know we don't think like that, but there's certain friends who can fill in that role for in a motherly role for a friend. Maybe it's for students. Maybe you're a teacher and you fill that role in for some kids who need that. Maybe it's a foster child. Maybe, I know maybe you don't think about this, but how about your Wednesday or Sunday class? Some kids come in here and maybe they don't have that kind of influence in their life, and you get to take part in that. Maybe you can take that motherly role just for a couple hours every week. Maybe it's your neighbor's kids, right? They're at your house all the time, and you're just like, why are you here all the time? I'll feed you, I'll pat you on the head and stuff. And so you fill that motherly role for them. And so I'm sure you can think of women in your life that were not your mother, by the way, but they filled that role for a certain time. They played a significant role in your life. So my Mother's Day gift to you is that I want you then to see that Jesus sees you. That's what I want today. So the ultimate Mother's Day gift is this. And as I explained who the demographic is, who this message is for, this is the gift that I want for you. Is I want you to see that Jesus sees you. The ultimate Mother's Day gift then is that that I want you to see that Jesus sees you. Okay? And so let me go into a little bit of backdrop then in summary into kind of where this message is going. So Jesus has just been approached by a man named Jairus, and he's asked Jesus to come and heal his daughter who is dying. And Jesus obliges, and he moves on to go do this. So Jesus is on his way to heal someone's daughter when he is approached by a crowd, but also among that crowd by a woman who has had a problem, a blood problem, what they say, and she approaches Jesus in secret, if you will, because she's among this crowd, and she doesn't just come out to him, but she kind of sneaks up on Jesus, and she says in her mind, if I can just touch his robe, then I'll be healed. And so that's what happens, and this is where the story takes place. Okay, so Jesus is on his way to heal another man's daughter. He's in the middle of a huge crowd, and a woman sneaks up and touches Jesus' robe to be healed. So that kind of gives you a backdrop and a summary of where we're going. And so that's what we're jumping into then in Mark 5, verse 25. So if you'll read with me then, Mark chapter 5, verse 25 then says, "And there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years." Verse 26. "And who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had," if y'all stay on verse 26, "and was no better, but rather grew worse." So here's this woman who I spoke about, who sneaks up on Jesus. She's had a problem for not just like one day, not a week, not even a year, but 12 years. And she had suffered much under many physicians. And the worst part about it is that she didn't get better, but instead, she got worse. That's not what you expect when you go to the doctor, right? I'm paying you a lot of money, make me better. But instead, she goes through all the suffering and just comes out worse on the other end. So maybe a question that I would ask you at this point then is what, where, or who have you spent years, energy, resources trying to get to fix you? To make you, quote unquote, whole. So just as this woman spent 12 years going to different doctors, different physicians, trying to find somebody saying, hey, this is my problem, fix me. And maybe the same way you've got some kind of hurt, some kind of emptiness, something that is bothering you, something that plagues you, and you're going to different places, different quote-unquote doctors, trying to find wholeness, trying to find healing. So who are they in your life? Who are those physicians in your life? You know, the ones that again, you keep going to, expecting them to make you whole. So maybe you, just like this woman, you've tried going to an actual doctor, right? You went to an actual MD and you said, hey, prescribe me something. Here's my symptoms. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's the emptiness. Why? Here's this lack of maybe direction. Here's the lack of a purpose in my life. And you go to them and you're like, I need something. Please fix me. Or maybe you even try dating a doctor, right? You're like, I just go to the doctor's not enough. Maybe if I date one, they'll fix me. But guess what? Empty and wrong answer, right? Like that. Well, now you have less hope in doctors because you actually know them. You think that being a doctor, having that degree makes them better, but you realize no, they're just imperfect as anybody else. And so that didn't work. Maybe it's a boyfriend, husband, girlfriend, wife. Maybe it's another human being where you're going to this person going, fix me, tell me what I need. I'm coming with this problem, fix me. And you're trying to put this load on them. And you've tried this for years, and so just as she went for 12 years, you went through maybe 12 different relationships in and out, and you keep going to these people and you go, fix me, I need you to help bear this burden that I have, fill this emptiness that I have. Maybe it's some kind of career, some kind of obtaining something, possessions, maybe something that in this world that you've tried to obtain, and you say, fill me, fix me, and you've tried this for countless years now, and you're saying nothing's working, and you come back and everything you've suffered, and actually at the end today you stand here, you sit here, and you're going, I'm actually worse than when I went into this. I'm actually worse. Like I trust people less. I'm more in debt. I actually feel dumber after that, right? And so nothing has worked. Nothing has worked. Just more suffering and making things worse. Maybe this is where you're at. You're hopeless. You just kind of give it up. You're like, this is just how it's got to be. You're just tired of it all. But maybe there's hope. Let's kind of see what happened, okay? Because the lady approaches this with the hope that something's going to happen. So let's see what happens in verse 27 then. So it says, she heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, if I touch even his garments, I will be made well. Check this out, verse 29. And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Isn't that the kind of results you want? I'm an impatient person. Like, I want green lights. You know what I mean? Like, I want immediate gratification. And so, when you see this, you're like, yes, yes, that's exactly what I want. Immediately. And so let me just tell you this. Let me sum this up. This is the point that I want you to hear, is that when others fell, Jesus succeeds. And amen to that. When others fell, Jesus succeeds.
Amen.
So today, if you find yourself like this woman, I would say that if you're going to spend wisely. Hear me out. If you're going to spend wisely. She spent everything she had for 12 years in the wrong places. In these black holes that just kept sucking life out of her. They kept sucking money out of her. In return, nothing. So if you're going to spend wisely, and I would say look back at what just happened, that where everybody else fails, Jesus always succeeds. So where do you need to spend and invest? It's in Jesus. It's in Jesus.
Amen.
You see, Jesus is not just another option on your list. He is the option. It's not just go through the yellow page. Anybody know what a yellow page is now, right? Like it's a phone book, it's actual paper. I know. Okay, I lost maybe some of you, so pick up your phone and you can Google something, right? It's not just an option that pops up when you do a search. It's an actual like if we were to put in what is the answer, it would pull up Jesus. Okay, like that's it. Jesus is not just an option on your list. He is the option. You might say, well, this plus Jesus will fix me, or Jesus plus that will fix me. And it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. It's just Jesus, period. See, Jesus is the great physician. So don't waste any of your time or energy on any of the other sources, any other options, anything else that you rely on. Just spend your energy on Jesus. Spend it on Jesus. Seek after Him. And you will always find more than you were asking or looking for. When you come to Jesus, you will always find more than you were asking or looking for. Always. When others fail, Jesus always succeeds. So let's keep going, though, because it gets better. Right? I know you're like, man, that's good. That's good. I like the immediate part. Like, that's for me. But it gets better. So let's see what happens in verse 30. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, there's that nice word again, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole story, the whole truth.
That's good.
Let's go back to verse 30. I want to point something out there. And then Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" Another point here that I want you to see is that Jesus hears a who. All right, any parents in the house? Jesus hears a who. I don't know if that sounds like anything you've heard before, but Jesus hears a who. Okay? Jesus hears a who. See, no one's hidden from the presence of God. When others see you as a number in the crowd, Jesus hears a who. See, Jesus is like, who touched me? Somebody touched me. Someone touched me. But his, much like us, his disciples come like, and really, Jesus, like, there's just a bunch of people. Like, it's just a bunch of people. I mean, come on. Like, there's 1, 2, 3. There's just a crowd. Jesus, really? And you're saying there's one person, there's a who touched you? And he's like, yes, there's a who. There's somebody who I'm very interested in. There's somebody very specific who I'm looking for. There's somebody very specific among this crowd who just touched me, and there's a who. So Jesus hears a who. You see, he sees you as an individual with a name, with hurts, aspirations, dreams, desires. Jesus sees and he cares. I want y'all to pay attention here. Because this is very important. And then not just for, I want to speak specifically to to, again, the ladies. But man, we can lean in on this. See, when you think what you do goes unnoticed, Jesus wants you to know that not one thing you do goes unnoticed. You ever felt like that? See, he sees all the sacrifices. Let me just kind of go down through the list. He sees all the poop diapers you change. Anybody enjoy that? He sees all the sleepless nights. He sees all the cooking and the cleaning. He sees all the love and care you pour out. He sees all the sweat and tears. He sees your selflessness. He sees and he cares. So Jesus sees and he cares. Because Jesus hears a who. Jesus sees an individual and he cares. He doesn't just see a crowd and go, okay, that's a nice crowd, but he sees individuals. He sees you. He knows you. He knows what you're going through. He sees everything that goes through your mind, all the things that worry about you, all the things that you do in secret that you think nobody cares that I'm doing this. Nobody cares that I put all this work into this. Nobody cares that I prepared this meal and they just eat it and leave the dirty plates and walk off. Like Jesus sees all these things and he cares. We need to grasp that. We are an individual to God. We're not just a mass of people. We're not just little machines that God just kind of put to do things. We're actual people that he spent time forming and that he cares about all these little things that we do. He cares when you spend extra time on certain things. He cares when you put extra time into your family. He cares about all those things that you think go unnoticed. See, Jesus could have simply kept moving, right? Like, we see the story. The lady comes up. She grabs his robe. She's immediately healed, right? So she's healed. So what? That's Jesus did his deed, right? I mean, seriously, like if you came to be healed and you got healed, you're like, well, see you guys later. Like I got what I came for. Like I'm good to go now. And my problem is fixed. And Jesus could have said, I know something came out of me, so I helped her. Let's move on. I've got somewhere to go. There's actually somebody who's dying now that I need to get to. So there's something important that's waiting on me. So Jesus could have just, I've healed you. I don't need to acknowledge or anything. I can just keep on moving. But I think he wanted her to know that she was loved and acknowledged by God. Like I think he stopped specifically for the reason, yes, I've healed you, but I want more for you. I want you to know that yes, that you've been healed, but I want you to know that God knows you, that God loves you, that God acknowledges that you are there, that you are not insignificant, that you are not just somebody who is despised by others. Because see, she had a big problem with this whole blood issue that she had. She was pretty much rejected by everybody. They had this kind of big deal where a lot of the people went to worship, and if they were actually to touch something unclean, that means that they couldn't go to the temple. So they didn't want to touch her. They didn't want anything to do with her. So you can just imagine the shame. You can just imagine the loneliness that she felt. You can just imagine how maybe humble she felt about all this. And so for Jesus to turn around and actually address her was a big deal. God wanted to know that he had not forgotten her. I actually believe that he came that way intentionally. I mean, if you remember the story about the woman at the well, Jesus said, I must go. See, I think Jesus was very intentional. And maybe this morning you said, here, there's no real reason. I just came. Somebody invited me, or I just always come. And Jesus says, no. Intentionally, I brought you here. But you are here intentionally because I wanted you here. Because I wanted you to hear this. Because I want you to know that I know you. I want you to know that I think about you. I want you to know that I love you. I want you to know that I acknowledge you. She thought she was just going to maybe sneak in and sneak out. She said, it's not like anybody notices me anyways. All right, if I could just, it's not like I'm going to touch his hand. It's not like I'm going to hug him. It's I'm just going to sneak in, grab his robe, sneak out. That's all I need. So Jesus wanted to know, you're not invisible. I know you're there. I know. Amen. Jesus wants you to know the same thing. You're not invisible. You're not insignificant. You're a hoop. Not a number in the crowd, but a hoop. I know. It's pretty good, right? It's good stuff, but this is going to really get good, okay? So bear with me, pay attention. This is where it really gets good. Verse 34. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. Here's my point in this passage, is that God doesn't just give you what you think you need. God doesn't just give you what you think you need. Like, we all have an agenda. Like, this is what I need, God. Like this, and this. Like, this is what I need. If you give me this, I'll be good. But God doesn't give you what you think you need. I mean, he might give you what you think you need, but he gives you more than what you think you need. Look at verse 34 again. And Jesus said, be healed of your disease. But I think she left that day with so much more than a one-time physical healing. She came for a one-time physical healing. Like she said, I just got to get rid of this. I've been struggling with this for so long, and if I could just get rid of this, this is all I need, Jesus. This is what I'm coming for. But think about it. She was healed back in verse 39, right? Verse 29, I'm sorry. In verse 29, remember, it said immediately she was healed. So she's already healed. She came for what, she got what she came for. But then, kind of interesting that Jesus says, but he tells her, go in peace and be healed of your disease. Now, does that make sense? She's already been healed, but then Jesus goes, okay, be healed. No, Jesus, I was already healed. Oh, no, wait, go in peace and be healed. So I think Jesus is trying to say something else. Is that this is what I can see from this, is that I believe that she not only left with peace, but she left with a peacemaker. See, I believe that she not only left with healing, but she left with a healer himself. She came a hurt, poor, rejected, desperate woman and left a daughter of the Most High. See, Jesus turns around and he calls her daughter. Right? Can you see that? Can you see how beautiful it is? This woman who didn't even have the confidence enough to come up to Jesus and stand in front of him, who didn't even have the confidence to do that, but instead to kind of sneak in and just try to sneak out. Jesus turns around and acknowledges her, and not only acknowledges her, but actually makes her see that she is more than what she thinks she is. That he makes her see that her real need wasn't just physical healing, but it was something else. It was a more spiritual thing. That she needed to go from who she thought she was to daughter. See, Jesus calls her daughter. She came thinking all she needed was a physical healing. But Jesus shows her that what she needed was a relationship with God. That she wasn't in the right place. That she was settling for just healing, physical healing, things of this world. But he said, you need more than that. You need me. You need my peace. You need my healing. You need a relationship with God as your Father. Daughter, your faith is saved.